Good afternoon, collectors, and welcome to Leighton's Loft, our weekly podcast. Every Wednesday, you could find us here, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, with my friend Lou. How are you today, bud?
Good. How are we doing today? How was the show? You guys all worn out?
Well, we had a great time. We did a bunch of business. We met a bunch of folks. Shout out to Mike and Rick, my buddy Brett Friedman. We all have those folks in, whether it be in high school or let's say grade school, that we kind of kept in touch with using social media, that we always enjoy their company. But for one reason or another, maybe you haven't seen them for, a long time because we went to different colleges and you just took different paths.
Yeah.
Well, he's been a fan of Vintage Breaks, and he found out the show is at, the Expo Center right near his home, about 10, 15 minutes away. And he came to say hi. And, it's funny. I said to myself right before I saw him, like, wow, I wonder if he, really changed. And like, no, I see him walking. I knew exactly what he looked like. I hadn't seen him in about 25, 26 years. So that was really cool. Dougie got to see his aunt and uncle. And then, man, we ate really well. And it was funny, Lou, because the fanciest meal, or the least fanciest meal by far, was the last night.
Yep.
Place called Odd Barbecue. And, sometimes you just take a shot.
Yep.
You could tell by the smirk on my face, I am very proud, as I was the one who selected it. And it was unbelievable. And I wasn't even drinking. Like, it's the kind of place, Lou, you can hang out for 3 to 6 hours, no problem. You may be comatose. You may have to take an Uber home.
Yep.
But, man, they have good eats. Afternoon, Susan.
You can't go wrong with barbecue, right? You can't.
No, it was great. And the whole time, what's up, Tyler, Nick, Adam, Mike, Jeff, Brandon, Ernie, Jason, thanks for joining us here on Leighton's Loft weekly podcast. It's really funny. Yes, Dougie, the biscuits were unbelievable, Lou. And, I've been trying to eat a little better. And, man, talk about peer pressure. I got 2 offensive linemen staring down my throat between Gilmore and Dougie. Like, you need to try the biscuit. And it went from like, all right, well, you need to eat the biscuit. I'm like, how about I try the biscuit? And literally I took a bite of it, Lou, and I couldn't see straight.
Oh, really?
I like to tell you I'm exaggerating. Like I said, it's the kind of place where if you had to go, you're all right. And like I said, I didn't even get into the beers and such, but it had like its own little, looked like brewery, and it had a nice outdoor spot. So we had a cool little table across from, some cool dogs, interesting folks. And like I said, it was probably the least fancy because, no one was serving us.
Right.
The setting was more of like an outdoor kind of style, almost like having a picnic on a table. But man, it was delicious.
Oh yeah, I love barbecue. I could hit barbecue all the time.
Yep. So shout out to Odd Barbecue. Today's show is going to be a good one. We're going to talk about the convention this past weekend. We're hoping to have Drew from Vintage Break South, and let me get that potograph, join us at about 5:10. I believe he has the feed. We're going to talk about the state of the market and some other things as well. But to begin right now, we are going to go over the prizes. We have 7 prizes for joining us today on the Loft. All you have to do is comment and say hi on Leighton's Loft Facebook page. What's up, James? Thanks for joining us. First place today, I thought it would be pretty cool. We're going to give away a POTUS President of the United States Historic Autographs 2020 blaster box. Chances some really cool inserts and such. So that's going to be first place, Dougie. Second place.
Wait. Are there autographs in there? Actual autographs in there?
So there's autographs in the sense, Lou, as a chase.
Okay, gotcha.
Like, not every, there's no way they could afford to put one in every blaster box.
No, I understand. Yeah.
But yeah, it's especially if you're in presidential memorabilia, what's really cool is like, all right, so like if you don't get the chase piece, it's kind of fun if your son or daughter's in that, period of learning in their life.
Right.
If they're younger, and it's a fun product to open. So I thought that'd be a good first place giveaway today. Second place, and this was fun. I did a bunch of this as I was walking through the convention, Lou, because I hadn't been to a convention in forever, trying to buy things that we could either give away at the convention or at some later date. And even though you can buy them online, there's just something about being able to buy it, have it, and hold it, and then, give it away. It's fun.
Well, the whole show is about everybody getting back together again, kind of a reigniting of face-to-face and doing it the old school way, right?
Yeah, and speaking of getting together face to face, when we met Mike Doerr, hey, what's up, Dev? Let's go Knicks. Let's go Celts. Even though the Celts are in big trouble. Yeah, they got some problems. But in regards to the show itself, like one of the biggest surprises, really, like seeing Brett, Friedman, my buddy of 25, 26 years, I haven't seen him forever, was great. But really, the biggest surprise was actually learning about Mike Doerr's collecting efforts. And kind of hearing about like the nuances and how involved he was with it. And, shout out to Gary V, who, of course, is kind of a friend of the Vintage Breaks, family, if you will. And apparently a friend of Mike Doerr and his work. Let Mike talk more about it when he comes on. But apparently they had a chat about cards and Vintage Breaks and, I guess everything in between. And they worked it out with some cards, I guess, as the icing on the cake.
Nice.
So I want Mike to tell the story. What's up, Sean? So anyway, second place is going to be an item that I picked up from the convention, and I always really dig these heritage sets, Lou. And I know you were fond of '68 because you said you had a lot of the style. I remembered that.
I love '68, and Harper is one of my favorite players.
Yeah. So this is going to be a second place prize today, Dougie, on the Loft. What's up, Jim?
Yeah.
Third.
Did not look fun.
Yeah, it is cool. The card did not. No.
Yeah.
Third place is going to be a $25 break credit, Dougie. Fourth place is going to be a 62 Topps baseball set break spot. Fifth place is going to be a 71, and the last two will be 73 set spots.
Very nice. Always lots of great prizes.
So, speaking of Luka, he may be president soon if he goes on to not only beat the Clippers in potentially quick fashion, but some people are like, oh well, the Mavs can do it. And the thing is, if you think about, and I know you're not a hoops guy, Lou, but Dougie, if you look at the way the West is set up, the Lakers and the Phoenix Suns series is not only a great series. But for the Mavs, one team has to lose. And if the Mavs somehow get past the Clips, you're telling me that the Clips and or the Suns or the Lakers are already gone in the second round by the time the Mavs get there? You heard it here first. It's wide open. Now, I'm not saying Phoenix or Utah at 1 or 2 is going to be the likely to go, but Mitchell has problems. I don't know. There's something about Luka really wanting it. It's I don't think it comes down to Luka, actually. I think it comes down to Porzingis. I think a lot of people, I saw Tim Hardaway Jr., and I want Deb to hop in because I know he's a hoops guru, much more than even myself of the modern game. But if they have no Porzingis, they're definitely not getting far.
How would if the Mavs make it to the finals, how would they rank against Brooklyn and the top of the East?
Well, the thing is, if the Mavs somehow get to the finals, then I'm convinced it has to be that Porzingis is healthy. Mm-hmm. I'm also convinced that Hardaway Jr. is not only healthy but playing well because he's a great 2/3 option, whatever the case is, because he can put up 20, 30 a night, which is kind of crazy. Hey, what's up, Deb? Please hop in on the NBA analysis. And so my feeling is if they get there, Lou, they're going to get there as a team that can be reckoned with, meaning they could give the Nets some issues. But I also say everyone's already writing in the Nets. There could be an injury at any moment. I know that, and it was a very brief moment. The Celtics were actually winning game 1. And if you were like, if you don't just like look at the box score and you see the final score, people are like, oh, wow, game 1 went to this. I mean, it didn't, of course, but I think it's early. It's a little bit early to say that Brooklyn's definitely going to get there, but they're likely. And I think that even though it's unlikely the Mavs get there, it's fun to talk about.
Yeah, I'll remind you that the Patriots led the Bears in '85 for a little while too. So,
yeah, there you go. So according to my brother-in-law Dev, the Lakers should come out though. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. He's saying they're too deep. It's a long, grueling, process. The NBA playoffs.
That would be quite a statement for the NBA, wouldn't it? 2 super teams that came together like that. The players put the teams together and built these 2 super teams. It'd be an interesting final, but it'd be a kind of it'd be putting the NBA on trial, wouldn't it?
Oh, I hope it's not the Nets Lakers because of what you just said. See, I don't mind as much. And I mean, listen, I'm not a fan of like these. I mean, right? The NBA is only 5 players, so that's what's so crazy to me. It's not like baseball or football, where it's just so much harder to do that because of the sheer number of players that actually play on the field at any one time.
Right.
But to me, the fun always is, as a kid especially, I'm like, hey, Pops, the Yanks would be real good this year. Oh, on paper, son? I'm like, I know, Dad, stop. I know, but the point is, wouldn't it be really great to have a Cinderella story? Like, to me, I already know the Celts aren't getting there. So
no.
The only other team I'm really cheering for, with I would say, any rigor, is the Knicks and the Mavs. And the reality of it is, do I think the Knicks can beat the Hawks? Yes. Do I think the Knicks can get to the finals? No. The Knicks are not a good enough team yet.
Right.
I don't. I mean, to be fair, this is barring every major superstar getting hurt, along the way on the other teams. But I do think that there's going to be a wild card out west, unless, as you're saying, Dev, the NBA just gifts the pathway to the Lakers, and like all of a sudden there's fouls with air, and you don't see anything, and all sorts of kind of crazy stuff, right?
Who gets Rookie of the Year?
So I feel like Dougie, we're gonna go to you for that. Who gets Rookie of the Year in the NBA?
I think because he came back in time and at least got them to the play-in, LaMelo.
Yeah, I think that, and I agree with Dougie. He said LaMelo Ball. I think it was a big deal to see him come back, and even just the play-in game.
Yeah.
Like there's something to that. And not to say Anthony Edwards did have a fantastic season. He had some great highlights and some wonderful individual games. I agree with that, Mike, too. I think if the Nets Lakers make it to the finals, there's potential for superstars to join up even more. And I hope it doesn't happen because of that. So,
yeah, and I'm really fearful that the NFL is going this direction as well. And I think Tom Brady and the Bucs is the first shot at this. I really think the NFL is going to be NBA'd.
I'm hoping not, but I think you're right, Lou. I think it's starting to move in that way.
Yep.
Hey, what's going on, Jim? Thanks for joining us. What's up, Mike? What's going on, Michael? So hopefully Drew will be able to join us in about 15, 20, 25 minutes or so. We're going to talk about the show in just a few minutes, but I was getting some cards together that, in the process of selling and such. And so, I wanted to go over with you folks kind of how I look at, and I love this card that I'm about to show, Lou. But, a card like this right here, okay, unless you bought it recently, you're probably into it, right? Meaning, Lou, you graded it yourself.
Right.
Or you bought it for like $30 or $50 or some low number before it exploded. Now, I believe it was at a high, I don't know how long ago, 30, 60 days ago at about 600. It's one of my favorite cards in terms of the card itself.
Yep.
This is what I realized, that even though it's down from an all-time high, I'm still into this card, like I said, at the right quote-unquote number. And I'm thinking about selling it because there we go. Daniel Lynch says Lakers not making the finals. I don't think so either. I think it's going to be the Mavs. I think it's going to be Phoenix. We shall see.
The Bucks. I was clearing my throat.
Oh, I thought something was wrong with Sam. Dev's having some fun here in the afternoon. Dev, I thought you had to work. So anyway, Lou, I'm showing this card because I feel like at the price value, even at $300 or $350, whatever the case may be, that am I really that upset owning an 8 or 9 of this card or even ungraded?
Right.
Like, does it take me back to any less of my childhood in regards to, owning of the card? And so I just feel like that, if you look at a card like that and the ungraded cost of it is really just a fraction of the graded version, and for some reason or another, you have bought into that graded version, you graded it, you bought it at the right time, whatever the case may be. I just think that it's always worthwhile to effectively check out, review what you're sitting on, Lou. And then, if you can, pick off cards like this where I'm like, wait a minute, if I really own this card ungraded in the card saver and it's literally worth like $1 to $5, would I be that upset? And so you're telling me that I have $300 in this that I could, who knows what I could do with it. I could, buy something else in my collection. You could put it into a stock or a piece of a stock, a piece of a card. A lot of things going on in the world these days.
Yep.
And so, one of the things I think that happens to us as collectors, gang, is we are like by nature, right? We're like these accumulators. We are these hunter-gatherers that like to accumulate, that don't really like to get rid of. And I'm speaking more for myself,
right?
Anyone. But I'll tell you what happens in that instance, Dougie, is unless you have a photographic memory, you can't recall every card you have. And so, one of the reasons why, to check out, for example, maybe like Alt or a PWCC marketplace, vault type place, is that you can kind of have your cards at a fingertip and you can just hit buttons, you can see them, and you can hit execute sale. I'm not there yet myself.
Yeah.
But I could see going through my own cards, that process, how it's cumbersome when you own a lot of cards to figure out, the best way to do that. And so obviously, sorry, I was getting a text. Obviously, Lou, I would have preferred to sell it, let's say, at $600.
Right.
I knew it was doing well, but to me, $300 is still well. And I don't know that it'll go back to 600 or it won't, but I'm not going to keep all of my cards, let's say forever. And I asked myself and felt like very reasonable, like, hey, I don't necessarily need a 10 of that card. An ungraded version or an 8 or a 9 of that card will more than suffice.
All right. So talk to me a little bit about the economics of why that card went to 600 and then back down to 300. Were there influences that caused that spike in the price, or because we just assume cards just go up in price, especially vintage cards, as we go along?
Sure. So that card's from 1990. And even though some may consider that to be vintage, it is 31 years old. It's definitely not an easy card to find in high grade, but it is an easy card to find. And so there's a difference between that and, for example, Roberto Clemente rookie, which, listen, you can find them, but they're a lot more difficult to find, not nearly as plentiful, and much more difficult to find in high grade.
But what about the dip from 600 to 300? It was because of that 600 price, maybe more come on the market, more get graded, more become available. I'm wondering about the economy that caused that 50% drop in price.
Oh, sure. So, let's talk about, before we had a decrease in price, let's talk about the run up. Mm-hmm. And obviously I don't have a graph to pull up. It would be fun to, partner with a, place like Card Ladder or Sports Card Investors who are out there. They have some nice software. So we'll talk to those folks in the future, see if we can pull up, some analytics that we could look at together. But my guess, very simply, Lou, is that for a little while, with PSA not grading and not releasing that many cards, there was definitely a demand for the Bo Jackson, but not enough supply. And so I think that caused the spike in price. And then what happens is, and like I said, to be fair, I wasn't one of these keen collectors that made the move to sell it at 600, but there was probably some people who looked at it and said, wait a minute, this card's selling for 300 now, 400 now, 500 now. I'm going to sell into that because that's really good money, and I'm comfortable either buying back in a 10 at a lower price or just owning an 8 or 9 or that card ungraded. Mm-hmm. And so I just think it was really a function of profit taking.
Yeah.
And so when you have people profit taking, i.e. more sellers, well, if there's not more demand and there's more sellers now and less demand, or the same demand but more sellers, the price had to come down. And I think that's where we're at right now.
And that pause by PSA probably played into the psychology, quote unquote, of the market here, with some people, and the industry was humming too. So people were willing to go a few extra bucks, right?
Absolutely. So before I forget, we are going to announce a really special set break that just went live. What's up, Tony? We also have a really fun Memorial Day weekend. I know is not quite upon us yet, but man, Crosby tells me every morning how much he's looking forward to it and having Daddy not work. And so I'll be here tomorrow for just a bit. I won't be able to make it on Friday, but we're going to start off the festivities today. We're going to be running a bunch of different fun promos in regards to the fact that it's Memorial Day weekend. We're hopefully going to be spending some time with our families, maybe at the beach, Maybe if it rains inside watching. My wife keeps asking me, what are we going to do if it rains? And I said, we're going to have fun.
Yep.
I can't tell you where the fun will be. The fun might be with slime, and we all of a sudden have a bill to the hotel because we got a little crazy. We'll have to see. Crosby really likes slime, but nonetheless, we'll make do. So we're going to announce right now our next set break that just went live a few minutes ago, and it is a 1951 Bowman baseball set break. It is, believe it or not, the first time we've ever had a complete 1951 Bowman baseball set break on the site. And we are running a very special buy any spot promo.
Logan's back. I haven't seen Logan in a while. Glad to have you back.
What's up, Logan? We are running a very special buy any spot promo from now until 7:30 p.m. And so if you buy one spot at the sponsor of our show, VintageBreaks.com's website, if you buy one spot at any break at all from now until 7:30, you're going to have a chance to win a free spot in our 1951 Bowman baseball set break. If you could switch screens, Lou, and have a chance to win this Mickey Mantle rookie graded SGC 3.
Nice. Simply
by buying a spot for as low as $3 from now till 7:30. It's our special Memorial Day first promo of the weekend. What's up, Chef? Hope all is well with you and the fam. What's going on, Logan? So this is the Mickey Mantle rookie from the set break. It is now live on our site. It is $175 per spot, gang. And once again, if you buy any spot at all at any break from now until 7:30 p.m. in our special promo, you'll have a chance to win one spot in this 1951 Bowman set break.
Nice. It's a nice card. Obviously centering, but it's a pretty card.
Oh, I'll tell you, Lou, if this had been a little bit better centering, it really has the eye appeal of like a VGX, almost VGX plus card.
Yep.
They just hit it hard for the centering. But you can tell it's got great color. The corners aren't really round. They're more like, yes, they have some wear, but they're not round like a VG card.
Right.
So we're doing this because we have a great community. We want to encourage participation. No, Mike, it's not one entry. If you buy 3 spots on the site, you'll get 3 entries in the promo. And we will random it off, the one spot for free at 7:30. Here is the Willie Mays rookie.
Oh, pretty. Yeah.
Gorgeous card. Just once again, the centering is the challenge on it, left to right. It is graded PSA 4 MC. So as you can tell, left to right, just whether it be extreme centering or miscut, that's for, the beauties in the eye of the beholder. But this is a gorgeous card.
Yeah.
And the reason why we did this promo, Mike, is we wanted to give people who, maybe don't have a chance to spend $175, a really fun way to interact with our community here at Vintage Breaks and on the Loft, where you can find us every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time to discuss all things hobby related. What's up, Mark? What's up, Dom? Hope all is well.
I love this set too. I like the artwork as opposed to the photo. It's nice.
Oh, it's great. And there's something about Mays and Mantle having the rookie in the same set.
Yeah.
The other big hit from the set that's graded is the Ted Williams, and if you look at it, it's almost like dead nut centered.
I've heard of him.
Teddy ball game.
Yep.
Once again, you'll have a chance from now till 7:30. If you buy any spot on the site, you'll have 1 entry. If you buy 3 spots, you'll have 3 entries, so on and so forth. 1 prize, winner take all. Someone's going to have a chance to win a Mantle or a Mays rookie just by participating on our site and picking yourself up a spot.
Why is the Williams a 4? It's scented very well.
It is, just from, and I'm looking at it, obviously, Lou, with the light here, there's some corner wear. You probably can't see it as well, maybe, through the computer. Once again, SGC does tend to be conservative with their grading. It definitely looks more of like an X card, but, I also don't try to say every card you have is better. But yes, this is a really good eye appeal 4. That's for sure.
Mm.
So those are the big 3 hits from the 1951 Bowman set break that we just listed. We're going to go over some of the ungraded as well. Joe D is not in that set, Nick. He is in 48 Leaf Baseball, though. And as an added bonus, we never do this. I thought that'd be a really fun crossover. So today's show, of course, is sponsored by Just Collect, Vintage Breaks, and Otia Sports. And Lou, as a little special bonus for those who are not only participating on the Loft today, but who decide to buy a spot at Vintage Breaks or buy at least one spot at Vintage Breaks,
Right.
To participate in the promo. If you buy a spot before 7:30, of course, you'll have a chance to win a 1951 Bowman spot. Well, Lou, as a little extra added thank you to our Leighton's Loft listeners and our watchers, if you buy a spot in the promo before 5:30, the end of our Leighton's Loft show today, you'll actually be in one additional bonus promo that's unique to today's Loft, where you'll have a chance to win a spot in our newly listed 1940 play ball set break that just went up yesterday, and that thing's flying. So you have a chance to win a Shoeless Joe Jackson, Teddy Ballgame, Joe DiMaggio. So Lou, effectively, if you pick yourself up a spot before 5:30, if you don't want to buy any other spot, you're going to be in both buy any spot promos. And if not, chill out, hang with us. We're going to still have a great time today. We're trying to keep it fun and easy, as well as exciting. For us here on Memorial Day weekend eve, and hopefully many of you are going to be able to go away with the fam, the beach, the amusement park, whatever it may be for you in terms of your Memorial Day tradition.
And dream about getting a Mick. If I missed it, any spot?
Yeah, Lou, you buy any spot. It is on the grid, so our software will pick it up for you and keep track very easily. So, Lou, what's fun is if you don't really want to buy a cheap spot and you're like, hey, I want to buy a spot in this break, it counts. Now, some might say, well, I'd rather buy a cheap spot because I don't want to spend a lot, and I'd rather use that to get into another promo. Hey, whatever you like, we're trying to keep it easy, very simple. But we thought it'd be a really fun promo and a great way for someone to win a really expensive Mickey Mantle rookie or Willie Mays card, without having to break the bank potentially.
Love it. Something to keep have a little vig going.
Absolutely.
Weekend, it'd be great.
So next up here is the slew of just some of the ungraded highlights. We got Campy. We have the Whitey Ford rookie. We have Bob Feller. Monty Irvin rookie. Duke Snyder. Yogi Berra.
Nice.
The Scooter. Nellie Fox. And Larry Doby.
All right. Nice.
All that and more can be seen on our website at vintagebreaks.com.
Colors on those cards you just showed look very good.
Yeah. No, it was really cool to not only acquire the set, Lou, but just get that collection that it hails from. We'll talk more about it in the near future. We're really stoked about it. You can read about that collection and many more on our blog at justcollect.com/blog.
All right. What did you see at Chantilly that stands out to you? What was your favorite item you fell across?
So my favorite item, J5, are you in this room or no? All right, good, because I don't want to make sure I give him too big of a head. So J5 comes to me at some point in the show, and he says, hey, Leighton, I found something cool. And I'll be honest with you, it's usually not good. I don't want to, I don't want to rip the guy, but he doesn't really have the experience that I do. So he sometimes comes to me with all sorts of stuff, and I try to still say give him the old smile, oh, that's great, but just, maybe you don't have to spend as much or whatever. So he came to me, and I'd love to show it off if he has it here. Did he bring it into work?
You gotta tell me what it is.
It's the photo that he bought? Soccer related, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. So I've been walking around the show, Lou, and unless I really love something or it's quote unquote a deal, I don't really necessarily buy it right away. I like to look around.
Sure.
But you have a pretty good eye for noticing things. And he pulls out, J5 says, hey, I saw something cool, pulls out his phone and shows me a picture. And I'm like, oh, that Pele photo? I'm like, I saw that. Yeah, I'm like, I almost bought it. I'm like, it's pretty reasonable. I'm like, you think I should buy it? And I was totally messing with him because I could tell he liked it.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that we can show it off on the show. It was one of the more interesting items I saw at the show, and what makes the conventions really fun. Kristen and Lily, I realize you guys weren't there. Is like, you could roll in with all the money in the world, but just because you can afford it doesn't mean that like that's the best item,
Right?
So the fact that we found this cool item that we mutually like together, it's a picture of Pele kind of embracing Muhammad Ali. And Pele's back is to the photo, which is a little bit of a bummer, but you can still tell very much that it's Pele. And you can absolutely, of course, tell that it's Muhammad Ali. Do you have it here?
No.
Uh-oh.
You already flipped it?
I already flipped it.
Oh, man.
But, yeah, it was I liked it. When I first saw it, I was like, that's really cool. And I just walked away because...
Sure. But did you really flip it, or you hung on to it?
No, I sold it.
Oh, you sold it at the show?
No, I sold it to someone.
Oh, well, tell us the story. This is great. So hold on a second. So I didn't know this. So we had talked, and he said, "Hey, what do you think?" And I'm like, "I think it's great. I think you should buy it." So he got the confidence, went over, pulled the trigger, and I would love to show you what it looked like, except you no longer have it apparently.
I have a picture of it.
Great. So let's show a picture.
Did it make it out of the show? Did it
make it out of the show, J5? He doesn't tell me anything.
Yeah. I sold it to a friend.
He sold it to, and once again here, a friend.
Okay.
I'm not sure if Jade knows who this friend is.
Now we're getting,
but we're not going to really ask her. That would be kind of rude of me to do that. But I'm just kind of curious because it's all very ominous here the way we're talking. Like a friend, like we're at a card show. Like, oh, you sold an item in a card show. Cool. That's how most people talk. Oh, like I don't have it anymore. I sold it to a friend. Do you ever hear me talk like that?
Oh, by the way, haven't heard from him today.
What'd you say?
Hey, Sean said Chris Coe is very interested, I believe, and I'm going, where is Chris? Haven't heard from him today.
Well, I'm wondering if you sold it to Chris.
Which Chris?
Chris Coe. You did. All right.
Oh, see, we got down to it. Thank you, Sean.
All right, good. I'm good. Well, what's really funny is if I would have bought it, I definitely would not have sold it to Chris Coe. So it's really better off that it ended up in J5's hands because I wouldn't have got it. All right, let's check it out. Oh, you need me to do the eye?
Yeah, the eye.
All right. So effectively, you're now basically Chris Coe's man on the street. What an image!
It's his personal shopper. Oh, look at that.
No, really, that is a beautiful image. Give him a lot of credit there. Great taste, J5. The only thing you screwed up is that you sold it. Now, hopefully, you made a nice profit, and Chris is happy. You're happy. That's great to hear.
Did you tell us it was auto? That was an auto? I didn't.
Oh, I thought I mentioned it was autographed. Yeah, it's autographed by Pele. But once again, the coolest thing about it was, even though Pele, he's not facing the camera. You can clearly see his jersey, right? Yep. It's Pele. And then, look at the way him and Ali are embracing. Just really cool. It's a great iconic moment. And then, to be signed, the only thing it's missing is Ali's signature.
Yep. Oh, God, yeah. Can you imagine?
Super cool. Charles G, I did not find any quality Ernie Banks rookie. Literally, I made the mistake of telling, and I'm not going to say who, one particular dealer, if you will, the want list of a few of our community members. I didn't tell them it was like that. I just said, hey, I have a few folks who are looking for a few things. No exaggeration. My phone's going off 1:30 in the morning. Leighton, I think I saw this Ernie Banks 2.5 today at the show. I'm like, all right, well, I'll just check it out, tomorrow, 1:30 in the morning, regardless, even if I wanted, I can't really buy it right now.
Right.
You're obviously drinking, and that's good for you. But I'm not. I'm trying to sleep. But anyway, do we have Lou? Lou, do we have Drew close to?
No, we don't. Drew hasn't signed in yet.
Okay, just want to see what's up.
Ernie says that looks like Billy Ocean from behind wearing a Pele jersey. Ernie knows too much about Billy Ocean, I think.
Yeah. So anyway, kudos to J5 and Chris Coe. Nice happy ending there. So anyway, folks, I'm going to send this out in email as well. But we're going to announce it now. Also announce it just a little bit on the Vintage Break Show. We're going to have a really fun Memorial Day make an offer on anything in the Just Collect eBay store.
Ooh, nice.
And any offer that I do get, if you could drop my email in the chat, Lou, Leighton@justcollect.com, I will respond to. Now, in the past, I was pretty stringent, Lou, and I said, you make one offer, and I either accept it or I don't. But I learned, and even though I had several successful transactions, what I learned was I put a bunch of unneeded pressure on people. Like I try to make it fun, but then I guess what people are struggling with is like, well, I want to make it a good. To be fair, that was kind of the point, but I'm also not looking to have people sweat bullets.
Right.
So from now until Friday, when I'm officially out of town for the family vacation, Memorial Day weekend, we are going to run this special Memorial Day make an offer on any item, Lou. If you can not only put in our email or my direct email, Leighton Just Collect. Our eBay account is just_collect. And we have everything from Lou Gehrig cards and Babe Ruth cards to Hank Aaron rookies and Jackie Robinson cards, Mickey Mantle cards, Mars Attacks cards, Pokemon cards. But if you're working on a set, looking for an individual card, you're looking to make a deal and have fun. What I wanted to let everyone know is anyone who makes a deal with me on any card, so it could be a $10 card, it could be a $5,000 card, anything in between, Lou, I'll correspond with you through email, and even if we don't reach a deal, we'll certainly part ways as friends. But we're going to put everyone into a random that successfully buys a card in the Memorial Day make an offer sale in a random for a chance to win a $100 break credit to Vintage Breaks.
Did I get that correct? Just_collect.
Yeah, just_collect on eBay. Check out our fixed price inventory. If you'd like to make an offer on anything, contact me directly, Leighton@justcollect.com, with an offer. And if we can accept, we will. If we cannot, but it is close, I will counter. And if I do not counter, I will simply wish you a great weekend. And no harm, no foul. However, if we do make a deal, Chef, you will be part of the community that will have a chance to win a $100 break credit from vintagebreaks.com, one of our sponsors of Leighton's Loft weekly podcast, where we talk all things hobby here.
All right. Excellent.
So I thought that was a fun little promotion on top of everything else, Lou.
Very nice. A lot of stuff going on. You guys didn't quit at Chantilly. You just came back.
No. Well, the gang worked hard. You know, Dougie and Chris, you know, really put forth strong effort breaking. And then, you know, it's not just breaking. You got to say hi to the folks and have a nice smile on and, you know, have good energy when you're doing the show. We bought a few cards from walk-ups. That was fun.
But it must have been exciting because it's funny. The biggest sporting event I've been looking forward to recently is the Red Sox go full capacity this weekend. And I just want to see a full capacity crowd. You know,
I agree with you. What about Phil Mickelson winning the Open? Just seeing that photo, I retweeted it from Ravel. I mean, just to see that was great.
That was so great. Yeah. But it's this whole return, and I'm sure getting out to a show is great. It just led to a lot of excitement. Just that energy of people being together is so important. And that was a good crowd at the championship, too, for Phil Mickelson. That added to it a lot.
Oh, big time. And it was really interesting to hear, I guess, what was it? Who finished second?
I forget.
He was complaining that he had his knee, he was banged into or something. And, I understand everyone wants to protect their health, but it just seemed to be a really cool experience that we've all been, longing for, whether it be we're actual Phil Mickelson because he was the only one who won the tournament, but just to be part of that celebration. I think I have a couple buddies going to the Knicks game tonight. It's at the Garden. That's game 2, right?
Yeah.
Yep, game 2. I wouldn't say it's a must-win for the Knicks, but they really should. They should win this if they want to have a good fighting chance for the series.
What are they at the Garden? About 25% capacity? Or are they?
I think it's more.
Excellent.
I think maybe for the regular season it was.
Might ask about Mickelson and a rookie card. Is it that way with golf? Are there rookie cards and are they valuable?
There are. I don't know Mickelson's rookie card off the top of my head, but yes, there are rookie cards. There was a long period where golf did not have any cards produced, so there's this kind of this interesting period of non-production, and so there's all these weird regional issues and such where you're trying to find that first card. It was great meeting you as well, Rick. I just texted Drew.
Drew's here.
Oh, great. Very cool.
Bring him in.
Hey, what's up, Drew? How are you?
What's going on? How's it going, guys?
Pretty good. Thanks for joining us today here on the Loft.
Absolutely.
So we missed you down in Virginia, but as you shared with me, you didn't know, and you also went to a great show yourself this weekend. So I thought it'd be fun to talk about, both shows. I gave a little bit of insight into Chantilly. You and I both have talked offline already. I already know that the real lively action on the floor, if you will, was actually at Dallas. It was a bigger convention in every sense of the word. Vintage Breaks and Just Collect, we had a blast both meeting folks in person and, of course, interacting online and such. It would have been a monumental effort to get to Dallas with all of our equipment and our inventory and such. But I thought it'd be great to hear from you, Drew, firsthand a little bit about the show because we couldn't make it.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I would have been in Chantilly had they not had to postpone it a couple of weeks. I had planned on being there and then going down to Dallas, but the postponement kind of put that off and put those two to where we couldn't make it. But went down to the Dallas show. As you can tell, I have very little of a voice as someone who does a lot of shows as well. In addition to talking on that floor, we've lost most of our voice at this time. But the Dallas show was incredible. That was my first time going, at least down to Dallas. But I thought they did a great job spacing it out. The main hall was completely packed, but you didn't feel too crammed in. But until it got to the point where there were just so many people. But then they utilized the whole hotel. They utilized all the different conference areas to kind of give it a unique feel. Every room kind of there was a vintage room. There was a room that was dedicated more towards toys and things like that. So you could go check out a lot of different things as you walk through the entire thing. I mean, if you wanted to go to the bar to get a drink, or even as you were leaving, you got to walk by a ton of different really cool displays. It was a really nice layout, I thought they did. I thought safety and everything was good. You didn't hear about at least anything going missing or anything along those lines. Everybody, for the most part, was respectful of one another. It seemed to be a good time. But the one thing I found the best, and it was the coolest scene that I saw there, and it sticks out to me still to this day. I'm just walking out to get a drink or to do something, talk on the phone, answer a million missed calls because I had terrible service, and their AT&T is awful in Dallas, apparently. And I walk out, and at the table, there's about 15 to 20 kids. Not a kid over 10 years old. And they've got thousands of cards out on the table, and they're doing nothing but trading, selling. They've got cash I didn't imagine having in my age sitting next to them. But just the wheeling and dealing that was going on between just this massive group of kids. There wasn't a couple of adults over there or anything. It was just this big group of kids just doing the hobby like all of us do. Like all of us do at the show. And it was just a really cool thing to see as I walk by. As you spend so much time in online groups, you forget, sometimes you don't get to see the younger aspect of everything. But there were tons of kids there. I thought the Dallas show was phenomenal. I definitely plan on going back when they have it again.
It's really fun to hear, Drew, about the energy across the different age groups.
Yeah.
As I was mentioning, Virginia was a great show. We're happy we all went. It was definitely not as busy on the floor as the way you're describing. And when I heard the stark difference, at least for the other Chantilly shows, because I've participated in several in the past, is they had no athletes yet. And, maybe it was partially COVID, partially just getting back to business as usual. It takes a little bit of time. They're going to apparently have athletes at the next show. And, folks drive from all over, to make it there. So it was a little bit tamer, certainly the environment that we participated in. But, based on what we were seeing, at least in terms of pictures and social media and such, it seemed just like a party, even if you weren't at the convention. Like at the hotel, there were deals being done, lots of dinners being had. And, just I'm sure there's a lot of, as you said, first-time show for you. There, I'm sure many other people it was the first time. Really cool to see. I'm sure a lot of people in person for the first time.
Oh yeah, and then you had, you nailed it. There was so much going on outside of the main room that you could spend an entire day just doing stuff and never hit the main room, and your day's filled. Whether it be people that just set up at the couch and just started to hang out. And then you see book bags full of cash being exchanged for a card or two. I mean, all the way down to just massive trade nights that were going on. I mean, there's a couple nights there they'd shut the main room down, but the hall of the actual hotel wouldn't be clear till 2 or 3 a.m. with people dealing cards, wheeling and dealing cards, just sitting there in the lobby. I mean, it was tremendous. And I mean, then you had I think you had 1 or 2 bars that had a themed area that was all about doing, trade nights, breaking, things like that. I mean, the city really embraced it, and it was cool to see. It was nice to see, then to compare it to the National. I've only been to a couple, but the National feels more contained, where you're there at the National. This felt a lot more communal, to the point where everybody kind of felt involvement from outside just the main room of the lobby where the show's going on. And I don't know if that's a testament to everybody just being happy shows are being back, or to just how big and how popular the hobby's getting.
Yeah, Drew, I'm taking all of that in and thinking, for the National, if we bottle all of that times whatever multiple, of course, want to be safe. We're going to, rely on the facilities to, for guidance and such. But I think the National is going to be unbelievable. I don't know if it's going to rival Anaheim 90 or 91 when they had to call the fire marshals in and there was 100,000 people. But I do think, similar to the way you were describing the scene in Dallas, I believe that the National's been like this for me for several years, where it's no longer just at the National, right? I'll go to lunch with someone and it's a business deal, across the street at Gibson's. Or, we're going to, when I say a business deal, we're talking about something, advertising related or content related. And you're not just buying and selling cards. But then there's other times now where, I see kids rolling up with their little briefcase, right? And, I have my little cardboard box because I'm old fashioned. And hey, you want to deal over a sandwich. So I think that there's going to be a lot of energy at the National that, as you were saying for yourself, like, hey, first Dallas show for you. Mm-hmm. How many people are you think are going to be, forget about who've already been in the National? Right. How many people, great question. I don't know if we'll be able to get an answer from the National. How many first-time people will be going to the National this year? Like, is it going to be north or south of 10,000? And I'm going to be the first to go. I think easily north of 10,000 for a first-timer.
Easily north of 10. I think there's going to be close to the only way the fire marshal is going to have to be called is if they bring the whole truck of retail prism. Then you might have a problem. But, otherwise I think we are good with that. But, yeah, I mean, over under 10,000, you have to go over. Just looking at the Dallas show. I mean, the amount of –
That's what I mean. Great point.
Extrapolating that, I see it.
If you could drop in the chat, folks have about 10 minutes left in the exclusive Buy Any Spot promo on the Loft for a chance to win the 40 play ball set spot. But it does continue also until 7:30, and someone will walk away with a chance to win this 1951 Bowman Mickey Mantle SGC 3. Drew, we just posted it a few minutes before the Loft today, a 1951 Bowman baseball set break. Believe it or not, we've done near sets, we've done starter set breaks, we've never done a complete 51 Bowman set break.
Really?
Well, we now can say we have. We just listed on the site, and it looks like spots have already started to move.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. That's a gorgeous card. That's a gorgeous card right there.
Yeah, no, it's a great set break. We're super excited about it. So, Drew, if I had to ask you, what's your biggest surprise of Dallas? What would you say?
I think I would say the amount of raw cards that were being moved. Now, not only did you have everything from vintage to, there was any era you wanted, you could find your area of quote unquote paradise and stay there for hours, whether it be vintage, 90s stuff, early 2000s, late 2000s. It was all there. But probably the thing that stuck out the most was everybody talks about this being the era of the slab and all this stuff. Yes, every dealer had a nice display case with their massive slabs of gorgeous stuff, but the amount of raw stuff that was there, and the amount of raw stuff that was being moved, the amount of raw stuff that I bought compared to going in there wanting to buy slabs, was something that surprised me a little bit, because you do think of it, at least when I think about my buying habits, it's going in and looking for something in a slab. Instead, I'm walking out with stacks of stuff and top loaders. And it was far from just me that was doing that. And it wasn't just price. Prices were fair. That obviously sticker at a show is going to be a little high, but every single dealer there was willing to discuss, negotiate. I mean, it was very easy to deal with, but probably the amount of raw compared to graded that I actually saw sold. I mean, I know, granted, I saw some monsters being sold. There were some big boys that changed owners' hands. But, I mean, there were some great deals on some raw cards, and just the amount of everything that I saw, the amount of vintage, modern, like I said, of every single era was another thing that just blew my mind. It wasn't heavily centered around vintage or heavily centered around the last 5 years. You really could go for hours and look at anything that you wanted to look at, from 93 tops to 51 to 2020.
Drew, how did you feel about the balance between end users and dealers and that type of thing? Did it seem a little bit more skewed towards heavy collectors and dealers this time, or were the people on the streets out at the show? The Thursday and Friday, foot traffic was definitely more dealers going table to table, that type of feel. The first couple of days was a little slower, not as busy in terms of the general public, and it seemed like a lot more dealers flipping inventory with each other, getting rid of things they don't want to, and that sort of thing. You hit Saturday and Sunday, and it was like Disney World. I mean, that's where the first timers came out, and it was incredible. And maybe it had been so long, because I go to a lot of shows up here in North Carolina, and some of them are really big, but. And this isn't by any means like compared to a national, but it's getting to be a big show, and just the amount of people that were there on those days, that was just the general public, collectors, tons of collectors, lots of people. You put in your case, your nice Zion, your nice Jaw, your nice Wander, and then you ask them what they're looking for, and the answer to most of it were PC players, were personal collection stuff. We're not the top superstar of the era. They weren't really necessarily looking for that. Now, you had those people, but there was a ton of collectors, a ton of PC players out there especially by the weekend.
That's nice to hear, Drew. It was, like I said, at Chantilly, there was definitely kind of less of everything, less crowd.
Sure.
In terms of vintage, there was a nice selection of vintage, but I believe that not everyone was back as a regular vendor there yet. Nonetheless, we still had a great weekend. Speaking of shows, the next show that we are all going to be set up at and breaking live, and we're hoping that Drew is going to be joining us, is going to be the Philly show. So today's show is also sponsored by thephillyshow.com. Check them out. It's going to be June 11th through June 13th, Lou, if you want to bring it up, thephillyshow.com. We'll be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And what I can see, they already have a few interesting autograph guests. Bobby Shantz, Mitch Williams, Wild Thing. Let's see who else.
Awesome.
And I know you haven't been in the show, Drew, but a really nice feature of it is kind of the way you're describing Dallas. It's not as big, but it's very, there's a lot of camaraderie, really nice community. And so, you can eat on premises. There's good Capitol Grill, good restaurant off premises. I think there's decent Italian place as well. And then there's a casino in the basement. Excuse me. The card show's in the basement. The casino's on the first floor.
Okay.
So what I think is really missing, and I'm hoping you're going to bring this to the show, like you all go and you gamble, and then like, all right, we're going to meet up at 11. And that combination of how you did gambling and alcohol is going to impact your deal making, I'm sure. And I don't mean you, but I just mean in general.
Yeah.
And we kind of see like who's like, you're not going to get the same Leighton at like 2:30 in the afternoon as like at 11:30 at night. And I've just had, I don't know, a delicious steak. And honey, I know you're not listening, but I don't know how many, vodka on the rocks with a splash.
Right.
And so that could certainly impact. Oh, I thought that wasn't for sale. dude, it's not. Of course it's for sale. Everything's for sale. Sam, meanwhile, before, like, you show me like the list. Like, Leighton, you said that wasn't for sale. I made you write that. I see Sam laughing. The guys, so Lou, they'll do that sometimes. Like, if it's something that's really sensitive, they're like, Leighton, if you don't mind, like, we just want you to write it down. I'm like, no, it's not a big deal. They're like, no, we're making you write it down to cover our asses.
Yeah,
I'm like,
Yeah.
I get it now. That makes
that's
sense.
just smart. That's all.
I had a list in my phone in Dallas that I kept of every single thing that I bought and purchased, and thank goodness even some nights we kept up with it, because you're right, after 2:30, 3 a.m., keep that list so you can remember exactly where that Randy Moss rookie came from the next morning.
Mike was asking, Drew, did you buy raw cards to eventually get them slabbed?
Some of them, some maybe, yeah, but a lot of them just because the liquidity in them is tremendous right now. At least in terms of for what in my business model outside of anything that I'm doing in terms of selling cards. Graded has some aspect of it now, but it's definitely changed quite a bit to a lot more bigger cards. And I was picking up more oddball stuff, a little more geared towards, with the National coming up, picking up a lot of Chicago-centric stuff because obviously if for anyone that's never been to a National in Chicago, there are a lot of Chicago area fan teams that attend. So, picking up inventory, stuff like that. But no, not all of them, but definitely some, yes. Absolutely. If I saw some that I thought were great, yeah, the Randy Moss behind me is headed to PSA in a couple of weeks, not too long at all, actually. But, so, yeah, not all of them, but some of them. Definitely some.
One of my favorite things, Drew, from the show that I don't normally do was I made it a point, Dougie, to like sit at least for a few minutes, in intervals and, be at the booth and not just be live for VB, but also like be there and interact. It was really great just to like, I tried to make a deal with one guy. I gave him a great deal. He couldn't pull the trigger. I'm like, I can't just give him the card. If I know him maybe, but someone else, a shout out to Chris. I want to get his channel right. I don't have my wallet here, but he runs a really fun YouTube channel, and he flew in from Europe for the deal.
Nice.
And he spent, a bunch of money with us. Thank you. He actually had my wallet right here. I have no idea how J5 has my wallet, but we'll talk about that maybe later on. So it's Chris Sewell from Sewell Sports Cards. Just look it up. I forgot the exact name of his YouTube channel, but I'm going to drop him an email. And, I gave him a VB hat. Yeah, he came in from Europe, and he said that, he sells cards, but it's not easy to buy cards over there. And you'd recognize him, Drew, if I showed you who he was. He's a YouTube content creator in the card space. But, that was fun. And then, talking with Mike Dewar and how he's taking his angle, and not just beers, but like, the gentleman, for example, I think, who was in the booth? Maybe it was you or Chris. I bought the Jordan PSA 8. We've all been there. So Lou is like, gentleman, let's just call him an experienced collector. He's got one of those book bags, right? And,
Yeah.
I don't know what he's got in there, but he's definitely got granola bars and all sorts of different other things and graded cards. So we know he has an 87 Fleer Jordan 8 because he showed it to us a minute ago. And they texted me when I was away from the booth. They're like, you want to buy it? I said, sure, I'll buy it. I like to buy stuff. It's fair price. So I come back, and it was one of those where the guy started sweating, and he's like, several minutes in, he's like, I know I have it here. And he's like getting really flustered. And I said, sir, take your time. The offer's still going to be good in a few minutes.
Yep.
Because he made it seem like, maybe the offer was expiring.
Right.
And, it was not expiring, at least in a few minutes. That's, market's moving fast. Minutes is, that's a little crazy.
Right.
But he really was like, he was losing it. And then, like I said, talking with my buddy Brett Friedman from grade school and high school, he was explaining to me how some of his buddies have not only tuned into Vintage Breaks, but like kind of found themselves back into the hobby during COVID. So, I think that like really interesting cross section. And then of course, just seeing some dealer friends and, if you will, your fellow comrades and peers. It was just nice. So shout out to Joe Drellick and his team at Chantilly for putting on a great show. They're also going to be the same group along with Hunt that puts on the show in Philly in just a few weeks, June 11th through the 13th. And we're hoping to see Drew there and all of you. breaking live from the 11th through the 13th, as well as buying and selling all weekend. And I potentially have a big deal that weekend as well down there in Philly. So real excited about that. And I know J5's got a couple of deals to go over with me, right? Oh my goodness, this is crazy. You want me to talk about this? Or? Okay. So, well, we didn't buy it yet, though.
No, but he's ready to start.
I'm gonna wait till I like to talk about stories when I don't know. It's
When the deal is done.
well, just saying because he's getting crazy. He's literally standing over me. I know you can't see it, but he's been making me nervous for at least several minutes. I realize now I'm gonna have to ask Kristen to do more work here. She's not only gonna, of course, have to do her regular job, but she's doing a great job. Taking over for Emily, but now I'm going to have to, of course, ask her to regulate J5 during the loft because this is too much. Yeah. This is just like, I don't know what happened here, but like the barrier somehow it's not working. No, it seems like a great story and I want to hear it, but I don't want to share it until we can tell it. If we don't buy it for whatever reason or another, we're still able to share the story. I just don't want to mush us. I don't want to jinx us, because it's the real world,
Yeah.
People can be like, I knew that guy was going to sell, and they're going to go ring on his door right now, Drew, right?
Yeah, they'll do it. Yeah. Oh, they'll do it.
I would do it if you said to
Trust
me,
me.
right,
Yep.
wait a minute, Johnny 5 down the street is now selling the family tobacco collection? Well, of course I'm going to ring his door.
Mhm.
Yeah, how do you not do that?
Yeah, hold on. My internet just got a little choppy.
That's right. It is the conclusion of today's Loft. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to give away all 7 prizes on Vintage Breaks, our live stream here as Sam takes over in just a minute. Drew, thank you for joining us. It was really fun. Not, of course, only having you on, but to hear firsthand what was going down at the Dallas show, and you and I are talking about several things offline. Just let's just say we'll be looking for some more really fun content to be coming from Drew and Vintage Breaks. So stay tuned for that. And once again, big sincere thanks to the community for joining us today on Leighton's Loft. We'll give away the 7 prizes in just a minute. And let's see here. We're just glad that Dougie made it in without an incident.
That's
For the 3rd day in a row.
There you go.
We were beginning to worry that he did something to like a black cat or something like that. Because that's
You
just
need
not
one of
normal.
those signs. You need one of those signs. Days since Dougie incident, and then
You're right. You're right, Drew. Because like the thing is,
number.
people get flats. He has like a whole tire removed, right? Like some people like get a scratch. He bangs his whole melon, like on a what was it your night table, and like got up gushing blood,
God.
So
Right.
we got to look out for him.
There you go.
Thanks, everybody. It was a lot of fun, Lou.
Go see you next.
Thanks.
So the 5 thing.